Hi, I'm Tom at Just One Pack, and this is AC On, the short Alpha Clash podcast where I talk all things Alpha Clash on my way to work. Now, we are in the middle of a spoiler season, and while I will go through spoilers at some point, I want to touch on a different subject. The subject is why we are so engaged with spoilers, which, spoiler alert, if that makes sense, I think is a good thing. Now, let's dig into that. So I just finished last night my video for the spoiler card I've been given, which is to me hugely exciting. But that made me reflect on why is it that we like spoiler cards. There is, I think there are multiple reasons, primarily two, at least for me, what is interesting about spoiler cards. But in good top tier, top 5 or whatever list tradition, I'm going to have an honourable mention. This was not a thing in other games that I've played. When I've opened up Magic packs or Flesh and Blood packs, or I was about to say Keyforge because that just entered my radar again, but that doesn't count because Keyforge is weird. A good weird, but weird. When I open up these other packs and when I open my Pokemon packs, I and that's especially weird for Pokemon packs. I was never that excited about the art. The art on Pokemon cards, even. I know that they and Magic use a lot of resources on this, but it never really. It was always just an icon for whatever functionality the card had. So if I open up a pack of, let's say, Flesh and Blood, and there were characters in them with very, very few exceptions, and I know Flesh and Blood and the rest of them have made a lot of work into the storyline, they were just placeholders for the functionality. I'm not saying that I couldn't recognize them. I mean, if I open a pack and there was a brute I could recognize as Rhinar, of course I recognized Rhinar, but it didn't tell me anything about that. So that has changed along with other things with Alpha Clash for me. I never really collected. I collected them as game pieces, and I do collect Alpha Clash as game pieces as well, but now I'm also a collector just because I think they look cool and they tell a story. So the art of the cards has both now an appeal to me, meaning they tell part of story, but also I like that they are on a journey. Where from the first set and onward, the art keeps getting, if not better, then more thematic. They match better with each other. There's a style to it by now, and I kind of like that. So the art is a special kind of excitement. We all go for the iconic rares and stuff and want to see those special arts. But that is more for curiosity to me, but an honourable mention. Now, what I really do when I open cards or see spoiler cards, because that's the thing, is that makes me... It is a promise, of course, of new game pieces to come. And as such, what I find exciting is to take them when I see these cards and have a look for what would fit into what I already have. How is this useful for me now, or will be whenever it releases? having support in sets for existing strategies, maybe tweaking them a bit, maybe giving me more options, maybe letting me express something with that or try something with that, is really, really cool. Especially if it ties into something that didn't really work, needed more support. Now that support is coming. So the first thing I look at is this a useful card to me? Is this something that supports what I understand of the game? Does it provide me more understanding of existing strategies and how to use them? And that is by far the first thing. Once I get to the text of a card, which is fairly quickly, that is really interesting to me, to see what pieces we get for the game we love. And there is always something. Whether that would be a good move or a bad move, it is always good, even if it's not interesting. At least to me, it's always good, even if the card itself is not interesting. It makes me wonder where that would tie in. Why is that made? And that ties to the second part of this. So the second part for me of what I do and what makes me excited about this game is something I'm a little bit. I have a sort of hate-love relationship with. So one of my pet peeves with card games, and I feel this with every card game, is that with every TCG at least, or every game really, is that at some point we will be adding complexity to things, making them very hard to access for new players. Which means that if I want to show someone something, it is the barrier of entry to them, and my ability to share my passion is less and less a viable solution. Now, I know we all want, and this is what I'm looking for, we all want the new functionality. We all want something interesting to look at, and we can't just have support for old strategies. We need new ways of playing the card game. And I agree, we do. And we do want it. But what we don't want is necessarily an added complexity. So if a card game can evolve inside that perimeter of not adding complexity, but adding identity, really, that is the sweet spot for that, and that is some of the things I'm looking for. So let me give you an example of this, because I was looking for this and I sort of stumbled on it way too late with set 4, Unrivaled. Unrivaled? No, Genesis Returns. One of the things that showed up is something called a turf mechanic, or turf counter. Now, counters we know. We can add counters. I can explain counters. And as soon as you understand, you get past that there are more than one type of counters, you can have a gazillion and a half different counters. Doesn't matter. It would be hard to track, so please don't do that. But if I build my deck around this kind of counter, that kind of counter. Yes, I made a Proliferate deck back when I played Magic. Of course I did. So there is a style to it. If that the way you get the counter on something is identifies differently than the way you get other counters. Say street counters, you create them in a certain way. You create bounty counters in a certain way, And streak counters is sort of like the streaks going out, so you sort of tie it into the story. That's a style I identify with. I'm not a mean streak player, but you get the point. You can identify with that, and you sort of have that mental image sending streaks out. I would love to build a Lynn deck with bounty count, because I think there's a story in that. We hadn't added complexity in at least very, very little, but we added identity. So I really, really like that. And what gets me excited when I see spoilers and start a new product eventually is, are there new ways of playing the card game without necessarily having new keywords and mechanics? I've been rattling on about that before, but having a new identity, a new way of winning. That doesn't necessarily have to be a new mechanic. That is one of the things that gets me excited. And in that sense also, seeing things that are sort of, I think Rising Empire Studios is doing a really good job at the first one, meaning adding more identity to the game without necessarily adding more complexity to the game, but also sort of giving us hints as to, yes, this set is now, but what is the next set or the next set again? I think I mentioned this last week when I was talking about Avarice, the iridescent, where that is sort of a hint of characters and style and that are to come. Now, that's a very obvious reference, but I like going treasure hunting in the spoilers, trying to spot whether there is something that could indicate something into the future. Not for this set, well, both for this set, what does that want to do, and what is the usefulness of this card? What is Rising Empire Studio trying to tell us with this card? Is it something for now or for later? An example is for Genesis Returns, I've received a spoiler card too. Again, that is amazing. It's really fun. But that card was in a constructed setup rubbish. I mean, it was a common, it was small, it was insignificant. It was rubbish. It was strictly less good than other cards that already existed. So in a constructed sense, there was no reason to put that in anything. It was a discarded card. I built a discarded deck. I even brought that to ClashCon. I did not have a single copy of that card in there because it makes no sense. But that also tells me that it's not made for no reason at all. There's a reason for that to be in there. Sure, it's provided some support for the ambush mechanic, but more excitingly for me at least, I think I mentioned it at the time, this is a card we might see show up in limited format, and when the draft book Nexus of Power coming out June, I want to say June, that is where this card have a meaning. So being able to spot that kind of interaction with the future, I think that's really, really interesting. So that was super meta. I hope you followed along, and I hope you are excited about the spoilers. There's been a lot of spoilers. If you are on the geeky side, let me give you a warm recommendation. I'm really envious that I did not think of that, but I'm too late to the game. Maybe I'll just do the same. Gamer in the Wardrobe, a top 16 player, I might have mentioned him before, and I'll leave a link below to his channel, has made a weekly recap of all the spoilers. Not just showing us the spoilers, but also going through what synergies he sees with existing cards. It is really, really interesting. I really like his content, so I'll leave a link in the description of this, and go check that out if you're geek enough to be interested in a good player's take on the cards, on the spoilers we get for Equilibrium. I said I am very excited about. I will definitely be talking more about. Anyway, that's it for me now. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.